And encourage everyone to go, kind of get out there and go see them, especially if it's something that you're into. And if it's anime or Japanese, definitely take your time out to go check it out because there are some beautiful stories there. So what we're going to do right now is start the Slam Show.
What's up? I'm Sam Maxon, aka Slam and Sam. I'm a DJ, actor, philanthropist, self-proclaimed Renaissance man. When I'm not in the studio, I'm diving into my hobbies and exploring many interests. With that comes my personal uncensored insights on anything and everything. Are you ready for it? This is The Slam Show.
Hello, 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 ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Rock Rage, and we are here at the Slam Show studios here at the Churchwood Pub in Alameda. So we have two special guests here who are very interesting and very creative individuals. But one thing I want to say that first I would like to thank our behind this the camera studio guest DJ Slam and Sam, who's a guest. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just messing around. Who's our onboard operator for tonight. But we are here introducing Kennedy and Kimberly Rizon, and they're both, well, it's hard to say because you are a natural bodybuilder, and Kimberly, you here are an NPC competitor, and you guys, go ahead and are both here on the show. But one thing that's really cool is that you guys came here together and support. So one thing I want to say real quick though is how was your guys' weekend? How was your guys? How'd you guys start off Memorial Day weekend?
All right, so Memorial Day weekend, it starts off with, I go home from Friday. This is my last Friday of high school, so I'm hyped. It was actually an emotional thing because it was my last rally at school. It was like you see the slideshow of like all your friends, and it's like you're gonna be away from them. But then I was like, okay, I'm hyped and all that, and I can put that into the gym. It sounds weird, but like I go home, eat my meals, take a nap, and go to the gym.
Oh, okay.
That's how I started off, and it was pretty much all fun from there.
So, Kimberly, how was your day today?
My day today, well, let's see here. I basically did the same thing as Kennedy. All I did was like eat my breakfast, went to the gym. But before today, which was yesterday, I actually had a photo shoot for the first time, so that was pretty fun. It was actually here in Alameda as well. Yeah, I got recommended by Cece to this one lady named Lakila, and at first it was super awkward because it's my first time, and it was an open space. I was like, oh my god, a lot of people walking by are staring at me as I'm doing this. But soon, eventually, I got the hang of it.
Okay. So that was your Memorial weekend. Today is Memorial Day, so one thing that's been going on is the Warriors game, and they're playing right now. So if you hear a lot of bumpling or rumbling underneath us, that's the Churchwood Pub, and everyone's kind of going crazy because that's the buzz. But one thing I want to jump into, too, is not only that. So real quick, your guys' weekend. Like, I know that today's Memorial Day, but your weekend, how was your weekend? How do you guys spend your off time?
Okay, well, off time is generally, let's say, I like to spend it with my family or friends, but usually just my family. I'm always at the gym or at school, and I lose a lot of time with my family. That even includes like having dinner with them because I'm always have to make my meals myself because I need to track exactly what I put in it so I can get the absolute best nutrients that I need to fuel my body to work out and grow. So I can't even do that. So I like to spend it with my family, And if you don't know, my family, we all watch together at night and stuff like that.
Okay.
We spend time together. Sometimes we go for a walk. This Sunday I actually had like a little bit of a cheat day. I had I had some Krispy Kreme donuts with my dad, so that was fun. So stuff like that. I don't cheat every weekend, but
No, I understand. Kimberly, you?
For this weekend, let's see here. Usually on my weekends are all my off seasons or off days. I usually, like Kennedy, as I mentioned before, is that we always go to the gym, so I'm there like half the day. Sometimes I finish early, but I hang out. I have a lot of gym friends being there all the time. You get to see familiar faces and you get to talk with them.
Yeah. So it's kind of like a hub where you just go, and that's where like your family friends are just kind of always there.
Yeah, exactly. That's where I go. And then like usually I come home around like 12 just because I hang out with them too much, and I spend time with my family as well.
So it sounds like your family's very supportive. They're in the endeavors of the gym and things like that. But what are some of the things that they always are behind you guys, helping you guys with training and things like that as well?
yes, if you don't know, my dad is actually the one who brought me into bodybuilding.
And his name is?
His name is Edison.
Edison.
So Edison Rizon, my dad. he gave me like my first muscle magazine, and ever since, like when at 12 years old, when I got that when I got that magazine,
Yeah.
I just went like, oh my god, this is what I want to do. So he helped me through that. He's always like pushing me. I used to be weaker than him, not anymore.
I think he would say different. I think he was like, nah, son.
He probably gonna write in the comments, "What'd you say?"
Yeah, but I always like, they're always really supportive. And if you don't know, my parents are divorced, so I stay primarily with my dad, anyways.
Yeah.
My mom, before the divorce, she was never supportive of it, but now that like I rarely spend time with her, um, I pretty much have full support from my family. And if you don't know, me and my sister are a team in everything. So I got her support and she has my support and stuff like that.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
credible. Same thing.
Same thing for me, but for when I started, it's completely different. I didn't get shown in magazines. There's an event in my life that kind of triggered me, and then Kennedy was super supportive about it, telling me like go lift some weights, and I was super lazy, being a 14-year-old girl. You have this mentality where you're like muscles is equals to like gross or not really
Well, I mean,
towards us.
actually, that breaks down to like how kids are like when they grow up and what they see things, right? So a lot of
Yeah.
kids are like GI Joe, girls Barbie, or those kind of conceptions, when you grow
Yeah.
up. So when you think of bodybuilding, a lot of people don't think of like females in it, but there's plenty of them. We've had some on the show, and I think they're incredible, and I think it's really cool. So I think it's really cool that at that age you're like, yeah, no, 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 I want to be that. I want to do. Let's lift some weights, So you're just like a little thinking like a little girl, like yeah, oh, everyone's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, being like really small. I started out really scrawny. Everyone thinks like I started out average, like the way I am, kind of am right now. But I was actually underweight. I was like 115 pounds because I starved myself at that time due to that event. So I was constantly throwing up. I was unhealthy, and that's why they all try to get me into like the fitness world and everything. And then I got into it. And then over the years, I started running to people like Cece. She started being super supportive. And at first, my family was
Well,
unsupportive about
Cece
it.
is a good friend of yours, right?
Yeah, she's
Okay,
super.
so a good friend of yours, but she also Cece helps with our in-house DJ Slam and Sam at the Solano Food Bank, which they do. I think it's like every other week, or they help out and they get all these cans and they give it out to they distribute it, and Cece's a part of that. So yeah, I just want to give people just a little when you say a name, it's like, oh yeah, this is who it is.
Yeah.
But with that said, so and you want to jump into NPC competition, or what does that stand for?
NPC.
Yes.
Would you like to explain
It
that?
stands for National Physique Committee.
Okay. Okay. And that's what your goal is.
Right now, yes, that's currently my goal. After doing like several attempts to get on stage, I tried to do a show 3 times, and I just figured, you know what? I tried it 3 times. Why not keep trying and trying until I actually get on the stage and say I did it?
Okay. Yeah. And so you guys are very young. Both of you guys are very young. So I think there's time to develop or jump into that. Now you, Kennedy, are a natural bodybuilder.
Yes.
Now, when people think of bodybuilder, usually they don't know what natural is a part of it, or they don't understand what that term is. Can you just describe that a little bit?
So natural means that I stay away from all performance enhancing drugs. The maximum, like the worst supplement I can take, basically, is creatine. And creatine is a substance that is basically found in fish and beef and basically red meats.
Okay.
So it's actually not that bad for you, but that's probably the worst supplement I take. So basically, I stay away from all drugs. I don't even know much about drugs, regardless. So I don't take any performance-enhancing drugs, and I'm actually an advocate against it, especially for teens. Well, I'm not exactly an advocate against it, but I'm just against it for teenagers. If you take drugs when you're an adult, I'm like, okay, go ahead. It's your body, you choose it. You're an adult, so you should have the right to do so, and I don't care. But if you're a teenager, there's just so much in the future that you can have. Like, your body isn't gonna be like everything for you. You have your mind, you have a career that you might want to pursue, and that can all get screwed over if you take steroids just because you want to look good.
Yeah. Um, and thank you for that, because even at that age, when you are that young, and you think about drugs, and these may be over the counter or under the counter drugs. Regardless, there's something that you definitely don't want to just step into. When you think of going to the gym or working out, you want to have your body be as pure as possible, or at least when you get older, there's other things you can take to enhance certain things and stuff like that for your, you know what I mean. Some things can speed up the process and things like that. Now, to be a competitor, what are some of the things you both have to do, or at least think ahead of yourselves, like, oh, these are the things I have to kind of avoid, you know?
Okay, so there's two. As a competitor, there are 2 times of the year that I have like different mindsets: off season and on season. Off season is just like the time you can have fun, you can go out with friends. But if you actually have a show deadline, let's say you're 16 weeks off in your competition, you don't hang out with your friends. I'm gonna be completely honest. Your libido goes down, and that happened to me as a teenager. And as a teenager, if you think about it, people think teenagers all they care about is sex. So the fact that like I was 17 and I couldn't, didn't have any sex drive, I didn't have any motivation. I was like an honor student, but like I was falling asleep during class. It really takes out a lot of you as a teenager because when you're in prep, you don't hang out with your friends. You're at the gym for about 4 to 5 hours a day, and stuff like that. So the mindset is that I have to avoid my friends and I have to avoid eating out. And I'm every single day I'm concerned about working out and like my diet.
So a lot of sacrifices.
Yeah.
Kimberly, same thing when you go to your competition, and we'll talk about that too. The differences in the male and female competitions, because there's different categories and there's different types of things that you can jump into. But for you jumping into like the women's divisions and stuff like that, what are some of the things that you go, oh, I know I have to do this to stay in competition, things to look forward to, like I have to make sure these levels of, or did you have to keep up with?
Well, for me as a woman, obviously, like a lot of girls would like love to hang out, and they always try as women, they always are concerned about their health, how they look, so they always try to like talk to me and try to work out with me. But as I'm competing, it's kind of hard because you're so focused on like
Yeah.
I got to get to this goal because there's distractions going on, and that's the thing. You're like I do want to spend time with this person and help them out as much as I can, but I can't necessarily because my time is valuable.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's very hard to do that, especially like when you want to build that kind of relationship with them too. And then another thing is that as a student, going to college, it's really hard. I'll
Yeah.
be honest. Even though like I'm only taking one class, it's really hard because like you have to study, and then you also you're really depleted, and you're like just want to stay
Well,
home and sleep.
Yeah,
That's
see,
it.
college life, school life, when you're doing something like this and that, you have to bend your time. You have to make sure your time is it's all already valuable, but you got to make sure it's even more valuable because you have to have the downtime to study, which is very important to have an education and things like that. But at the same time, you're like, okay, this is not a hobby anymore, but this is my focus in life too. So you have to have time for that. So what that does is X out a lot of the fun things or things where you have to leave. But you know what? You just find ways to make that entertaining for yourself regardless. So even doing homework and things like that. So you guys both in college?
No, I'm in high school.
Well, high school and college. So you
Yeah.
guys are on the cusp of, and you guys go to two different schools, obviously. But
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, DVC and
Clayton Valley Charter High
Okay.
School.
Nice, nice. So both of those schools after that, like, 'cause you have to deal with all that, and then you have to think about, graduating and stuff like that, and afterwards. What are your guys' plans for jobs and things like that for just temporary after that?
Temporarily. Well, as a part-time job, I'm planning to work as a personal trainer because I might as well. I'm always at the gym.
Makes sense.
I'm going to be studying some ultrasound technology because that's a 2-year course
Okay.
in what's it called? Just a 2-year course in college to get your degree. And last but not least, I would like to make a portfolio to work for video game companies or animation companies or anything of the sort due to my art skills. And
Yeah,
I
we're gonna get to the arts in a second.
yeah,
Too. Yeah.
yeah. But that's basically my plans after I, graduate. And I would definitely still like to keep my body in shape
Yes.
and compete more in the future and see how my body develops past my teenage years.
Okay. And Kimberly, what are some of the areas of the future that you are looking forward to? Well, from school and the education that you have.
Currently, in terms of part-time job, I'm looking for anything that basically will accept me. But many people keep recommending me to be a personal trainer, and I'm considering it. That's going to be one part-time job I'm planning to have. And then I'm also doing ultrasound technician as well, and then I'm building a portfolio. It's basically the same thing as Kennedy.
That's good. The reason why I even just brought up those questions is because when you ask a young, like someone that's in high school, if they're in college, like, what are your plans? Where do you go? And you both gave me an outlook at it because some people they don't know, and sometimes that's just an answer. It's an honest answer. You don't know what you're going to do, but it's good that you guys have at least like a little forethought, and I think that's good parenting. So you can
Yeah.
look forward to go, hey, you know what? I am doing all this bodybuilding. So some people, I would hate to see you guys work somewhere that it just visually, it's like here you go, ma'am. You can have this. Like, oh my God, but but work is work, so that's a good thing. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
whatever you can find, make it happen. But also with the digital arts or the digital skills, you both are talented artists because I actually went on both of their accounts on Instagrams and stuff and saw some of the art style that they were doing and the skills behind that. Where did you guys pick that up?
Okay, so for me, it's gonna be a lot of. I don't know exactly how long the story's gonna be, but I picked up my love for art. I used to play football.
Okay.
Sophomore year, I got a concussion,
Mhm.
and I was in the California Research for Cancer.
Yes.
If you know where that is, I was stuck there for a while, and I could not look at TVs. I could not be on my phone because of my actual brain injury. So I drew for entertainment,
Oh wow.
and I was recovering for about 8 months. I had to leave school for about an entire semester, so I pretty much like lost all my sophomore year.
Yeah.
But I was just drawing and drawing and drawing and drawing, and eventually I just found a love for it, and then I got better at it as I continued on.
And did you do that with? Did you use any of those skills or from like to school and stuff like? Because I seen you draw like really great art pieces, but did you do any digital?
Yes, I did a
Okay.
lot of digital art. They're not posted on my personal account. I do use a pen name.
Oh, okay. Well, there
So,
you go. Cool. Yeah.
yeah, so it's a private account, which I generally try to keep away from my personal account. But chances are, I'm actually going to start posting my digital art in my personal
Okay.
account
Well,
soon.
I was just wondering because I was like, man, this is like really skilled, and I actually saw some of the art pieces that Kimberly's done, and I was like, wow, this is really good. Because when I think of people that draw, it's like, okay, it's really good, but when I see the digital and they actually draw like the character and the background and everything, I'm like, all right, that's a legit skill there. I mean, you can even look to jobs and things like that as well, temporary or long term. But where did you pick that up as well?
I picked up drawing as an entire foundation was when I was like a little kid, you know. I used to do ballet and then I wasn't able to do ballet or like continue doing it because I was unable to perform. So one day I saw Kennedy, like little 3-year-old Kennedy drawing on the chalkboard of Batman. And that's when I thought like, oh, I can do that too. And ever since then I started drawing. First started drawing with like pencil and paper. And then I started doing digital art in high school. That's when I
Okay.
started doing it.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's really cool. What's some of the well, let me 1 second on that, but what inspired you guys to not only start doing that, but also when you who was the people that influenced you guys to jump headfirst into doing bodybuilding, things like that? What started you guys on the role of all this?
Actually, if I had to say the spark of our entire lives was our dad. My dad was an artist, and my dad wanted to be a bodybuilder. So,
Oh, and his skills just flowed right through both of you.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, he's not an artist, but I mean, he wanted to be an artist, and he
Yeah.
was a phenomenal artist when he was younger, and he wanted to be a bodybuilder, but he never became pro. Growing up in the Philippines, they didn't have any supplements or actual like good stuff to consume, and they didn't have any competitions, and they had no idea how to train. So, but
I wonder if that will change, or if like from there into now. I don't know if there's probably been changes in that. I don't know if you guys have looked into stuff like that though.
Actually, recently they just opened up an NPC competition in the Philippines now
yeah.
ever since
Wow,
Jeremy
there you go.
Buendia.
Yeah, ever since the Jeremy Buendia kind of grew in popularity, he's actually a Filipino bodybuilder
Oh, okay.
who is a four-time Mr. Olympia in the physique division. A lot more people in the Philippines have been becoming inspired, and there's actual competitions back there in the Philippines. There's like GNCs and Gold's gyms now in
Okay,
the
wow.
Philippines, so it changed a lot from like 30 years
Yeah,
ago,
to
from
now,
when my
yeah.
dad was like around.
So I mean, that's something that I would just say that's incredible. That's something that wasn't there initially, but I think that's something that I would love to see you guys at that competition and be like, oh, look at the fruits of the labor of, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
of the
Yeah.
passion of your father from that to that. I'm just putting that out there in the world.
Yeah.
I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah, I was talking to him about that actually. Like we should try that out sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we're in the Philippines when there's an NPC competition, I guess.
Well, you never know. Our in-house DJ Slam and Sam, he's been to the Philippines several times, and he goes out there, and there's a lot of things that he enlightened me on what's going on out there, and all the changes and really cool developments that are going on out there. Speaking of DJ Slam and Sam, he has several awesome mixes, and he has a mix show every other week where he just puts on these really awesome mixes. What are some of the music that you guys listen to when you're in the gym or when you're bodybuilding or working out, CrossFit?
Okay, so when I'm in the gym, I'm either listening to like those motivational speeches on like YouTube and stuff like that. But in terms of music, I normally listen to like trap and EDM, basically a lot of electronic music, right? That's kind of what I listen to. Even though I listen to all sorts of music.
Yes.
Um, uh, so usually at the gym, it's just usually trap or EDM.
Yeah. Well, essentially when you're in the gym, I there's some songs you're just like, but when it comes to the gym, I just want to know what are some of those. Kimberly, help me out. What's some of those songs that you're like, I put this song, I'm going in, I'm doing my best, because sometimes when you unhook it, someone's like, oh my God, you listen to it like a banger right there.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So like
No,
songs.
Kimberly, yeah.
Oh, you're asking my sister.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, for just
For sure. Like I don't remember the song's names. Like the song went with any song actually of Netflix is a really good song in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah, they're not exact. They're like non-copyright, so I could listen to it, and if I want to do those music
okay.
videos on Instagram, or like, oh, I feel really good about myself, I can put it in there without getting copyright strike. So I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm
Oh
good.
yeah. We definitely Sam has to fight that battle too, because a lot of strikes will come on the page and be like, oh no, you get a strike because you're listening to this song. But it's like, come on, this is the song that gets me amped. But usually at gyms they have an overhead and they just play like random songs, and sometimes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't listen to those.
So you just
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
I don't want to work out listening to like Katy Perry or whatever.
Or Taylor Swift all the time in our gym.
fireworks.
Yeah.
You're just like,
What are they-
fire-" Yeah.
Yeah.
What in the world are they playing?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, you know what? I gotta go into the gym. The next time I go to the gym, I gotta play some 1940s music. You know, baby, that's the way you gotta do it now. And people just have everyone turn their head like, what the heck? And just like, hey man, y'all getting pumped? No, we're not. Turn that off. But it would be fun to mess with people.
Yeah.
But yeah, so music is a big part of it. Because with music, that your brain kind of develops kind of like this energy, this kind of emotion that you're kind of pushing forward to. Now, I want you guys to talk about the emotions when you're at the gym. You know, earlier you're telling us about how sometimes the mood swings that come into the gym. Just talk briefly about that and how those things occur.
Okay, so in terms of mood, when you're at the gym, you know, you could be having a great day, but when you're at the gym, I try to get as mad as I can. I basically try to exert all of my anger at the gym, you know,
Okay.
and especially when I'm in prep. When I'm prepping, I'm pissed off all the time because I'm hungry, my libido's down, and all that. So I'm just angry all the time. So when I get to the gym, that's the time when I can relax and, you know, just take it all out.
So
Yeah,
when
I
you
guess.
guys go, when you're both driving, when Kimberly's like with you guys, and you're just in the car, like, is he getting like?
Yeah, exactly. That's how it goes. And I'm just like, Kennedy, why are you getting all pumped right now? We're not even in the gym.
Yeah. So that's how it is. I would be like, "Ugh," you know, listening to my motivational videos, like just like, oh man, I'm getting hyped, you know,
Yeah.
stuff like
Yeah.
that. And I don't do that anymore because I'm in my off season. I actually have enough calories in my body to support my activities.
So, but with Kimberly, same thing.
Oh, what was the question again?
Oh,
Yeah.
the question was, how do you when you go to the gym? You know, basically your mood swings or like you know what I mean, like your emotions are going towards.
Oh yeah,
going to the gym.
definitely, exactly. Like a lot of my friends who work there, they ask me like, when you put your hat on, it's so hard to approach you, but then after you seem like you're the most happiest person. I'm like, yeah, because I took out all my emotions I reserved out on the gym right now. It's all the endorphins and everything. And they're like, give me like more about that. And also because like there's carb days and no carb days. If you see me in no carb days, that's the time where you should not talk to me.
Oh, okay. So
It's
no carb
terrible.
days. So you get just no carbs at all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
zero.
So
Well,
the whole day.
excluding vegetables,
Yeah.
yeah, we don't get any. So
Yeah, you know what it is? I don't know. The world kind of mastered this, is making some food so good, where that's all your brain's thinking about. We're just like, oh, no carb days. Some people are like, yeah, that's fine. But some people are like, oh, I have to deal with this now because now I have to. You're thinking about it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, and
Yeah.
obviously that's going to bring up a lot of emotion. You're going to be like, you have to deal with that. But how do you just get rid of those kind of like thoughts? Like, just go, let me just get out of there.
honestly, I go to sleep.
Go to sleep or drink water.
Drink water, go to sleep. The first week of carb cycling, you're like, okay, it's good. A couple weeks in, you get cravings like never before.
Mhm.
And then like I would like when I was prepping, I would just remember that I ate all my meals for the day, but I'm
Yes.
still hungry as hell. So I would just go to bed and say like, okay, I can eat in the morning.
Oh.
That's how bad it was.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. That's that. Yeah, I think it's with certain foods you have to go to or not. Those are the ones that you're like not even thinking about. But I want to talk real quick about the federations. Now, first, Kimberly, let's talk about the female divisions and what are some of the like I don't even know what to say. They're basically what categories are each of for the women's divisions.
For women's divisions, for NPC wise, there's bikini, then there's figure, and I believe there's physique. I heard recently like the bodybuilding for women's got eliminated somehow or got removed. So right now, currently, bikini is the most skinniest one. You know, they look more for the legs, and then for figure, they look more for like the back. I mean, your back
Okay.
muscles are more muscular, and then physique is just like, oh my god, who are these people? They're like Hulk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what? Years ago, I watched the show. I was at home and I was like, yeah, I'll just watch this. So I watched it. See, that's the thing because most people, they think of like, there's not, I don't know what TV shows or whatever, they host a lot of these events or where they showcase a lot of them. But when I saw one and they showed like the women's division, one thing they also had was like talent. I don't know if they still do that. But one of the ones that they were showing was like, one lady would sing, another one would do like aerobics, and she would do like one would dance and break dance. And I was like, that's fascinating. I wonder if they would have kept doing that, but I didn't never saw that again. But one thing that's really cool is when they have those divisions or they bring more, because the men's division, I think they also have the same kind of, it's funny too, because they'll have like men's bikini too, you know what I mean? Things like that. So it's like, it's not just a lady. So, but I think it's incredible that they have those there. Kennedy, what are the ones that you are looking forward to joining in the men's federations?
Okay, so there is men's physique.
Yeah.
That's the smallest, or but they're still pretty big. Basically, those are the people who wear the board shorts on stage. They look like the kind of bodies you would see, like, oh my God, that's beautiful. You know, you would love to see them at the beach and stuff. I mean, they're wearing board shorts. Of course, you want to see them at the beach. Then you would have the
Well, a lot of events are at beaches too.
yeah.
Makes sense.
The following after that, it would be the classic physique, men's classic physique. Men's classic physique is supposed to replicate the older times of bodybuilding. Let's say you could pick up a magazine back then, like you look at pictures of Arnold Schwarzenegger, you
Yeah.
know? You're trying to replicate that kind of look, you know? So, and except they don't have the same kind of posing trunks, it's more of like a boxer now.
Oh, okay.
And then there would be a step up from that would be 212. 212 would be bodybuilders who are at 212 pounds. Um, Now they're usually hulking huge, but the
Yeah.
reason why they can get to 212 is because they're shorter. So they're like the shorter big men of
Yeah.
the division. Not saying the other divisions are smaller. It's just that when you get to 212 and above, these guys are like walking hulks. And then you would go to unlimited or open, and that would be like, if you see in YouTube videos of people like Kai Green, Phil Heath, these giant dudes.
These guys are just muscle on top of muscle.
Yeah, these guys are like pouring muscle. So, those would be the divisions, at least for the IFBB. The NPC, it's similar, but they have like, instead of saying 212 and open, they would say like, lightweight, middleweight, and heavyweight, and then they would say open. So,
Okay.
stuff like that.
Now, I'm listening to everything you guys are saying, and I see the passion. How did you guys become so passionate about this? Kimberly, start us off.
From how I started becoming passionate about bikini was after doing some research. First, I was into Amanda Latana's physique because I was like, oh, okay, bikini, that's what bikini is. And I got further knowledge about figure and all these other divisions just recently. And I looked into it as well because I started thinking to myself, like, maybe I can do this sometime in my life. But we'll see how my body turns out because obviously you have to listen to your body and your genetics. You
Yeah.
don't want to, like, go absolutely ignoring it and, destroy your body.
Yeah, that's what usually happens when people like are eating something like it's like just ignore my body, and the next day you just and you're like, what happened? You ignored your body. You weren't listening to your natural physique telling you don't do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also got like more of my passion from interacting with more people who also share the same passion as me,
Okay.
like, oh, I can actually connect with someone about this and I can
Oh,
see their
okay.
passion. It goes on to me and I gain more knowledge and you get that spark in you because you always want to learn and learn and learn.
Yeah, Kennedy.
Okay, so for me, what made me passionate about it was like, I started lifting at 12 years old, and pretty soon, like not long
That is
after.
so young, you guys. Like that age when I think of bodybuilders, like when I was 21 and I was like, no, we're like young teens. I'm thinking at that just real quick that age, the kids like watching cartoons,
Yeah.
sitting back, hanging out. But no, you guys are like, no, we're gonna just hit the gym. It's like, wow, that's,
Yeah, so I was like, I was 12 years old, little kid, I was seventh grade in middle school.
yeah.
So I started working out, and not long after, I got super popular because they're like, damn, who is this big ass eighth grader at school, right? So that's like, I eventually kind of got the idea that maybe I have some talent, maybe that my genetics are pretty good. So I thought to myself that maybe I should just go all the way and just trying to keep on like building my muscles and stuff like that. And of course, there was a lot of like problems with that in terms of how I developed as a kid. I did not go to any parties or stuff like that in high school. And I'm gonna graduate now. I haven't been to a single party yet.
Oh,
You
you
know?
got to party. You got to party hard on the last day or whatever. You got to go crazy. Not too crazy, like but you
Yeah.
got to have fun. You got to do something you never done before.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm gonna party for my graduation. I gotta have at least one.
Yeah,
You
just
know?
just walk up to that one teacher that was really rude to you and start bench pressing them. Yeah, last day you can't do nothing.
Actually, all of my teachers love me at school.
Oh, that's awesome.
In fact, like, it's surprising how everyone in school knows me. Everybody loves me. People actually thought that, like, when they first saw me, that they thought I would be like, that mean dude. When I was like hulking around, I was like the strongest freshman to ever step into the school.
No one wanted to mess with you. That's
No
what
one wanted to mess with you. I was coming in as just an eighth grader going to ninth grade, and I was squatting 300 pounds.
Yeah, so that's the next question I have for you guys.
Yeah.
I want to know your personal best. This is where it's going to
Oh,
get
yikes.
crazy, ladies and gentlemen. All right, Kimberly, start us off with some of your personal best.
My personal best. Oh man, I actually haven't been keeping track. The last one I kept track of was the one you mentioned earlier. Is 225s on deadlifts, and that was way back in November. Now I can just do that as a regular. Is the thing. So I don't even know. I haven't attempted yet for
Man,
deadlifts.
I don't even. Yeah, I can't even. I don't even know. It's been so long since I hit the gym. I I don't know.
All right, so time for me to talk about my maxes.
Oh, here we go.
I generally, I generally don't like to talk about my maxes, but here we go. My maximum bench press is 425 pounds.
Woo!
My
Man.
my maximum squat is 495 pounds. My maximum deadlift is 545 pounds.
Yeah, that's a big show, right? A big show and another body on that. That's just yeah.
But fortunately, I'm like a pretty short dude, so I don't have to move the weights a lot.
Yeah, that's man. That is that's and when did you guys? When was these when you did your recent one, Kimberly, was this year? I would assume?
No, it was last year in
Okay, last
November.
year.
So that's why I'm not able to like provide that information.
Yeah. I think half the time you don't think about it. I think ever so often you kind of go, oh, I want to see if I can, ever so often, but it's in like in the back of your head. But when was yours? One of the last ones that you did?
Okay, so last time was probably around April. Was the last time I did all my maxes. I'd like to, probably come back and try doing my 1 rep maxes every like couple months, because I mean 1 rep maxes are only really good for like checking how much you progress in terms of strength.
Yeah.
And strength is a great way to check how much your muscles have grown. So I like to do that every several months. But other than that, yeah, that was probably it. April was the last time I checked.
Okay, there's several federations in bodybuilding. Have you guys done anything with weightlifting at all, or thought of anything like that?
Yes, I've done a powerlifting competition when I was 13.
Who are like all right. Let's look at some of these young kids. Let's see what they can do. Let's see what they can do. And this little kid just, oh my God, that's a strong kid.
Yeah, I remember looking back at it now, like 13 years old. I was not like, I mean, I won the competition for my age and my weight, but like
Congratulations.
how much I've grown since then. Because at the time when I was 13, my maxes were a lot lower. Obviously, at like my bench was 225, and my squat was 315 pounds, and my deadlift was at 405 at 13. So that's how it was back then, and I've kind of grown out of that since then, which is great.
For weightlifting wise, I'm currently doing power building, so we're seeing how that plays out and everything.
Oh, okay, that's cool. And I'm assuming, and this is probably right, but your father has been there, right? Down. So I just picture him in the crowd, just like, that's my boy. that's my daughter. You know. So how's it been with him? You know what I mean. Throughout all this, you know what I mean. Being a very supporting father doing all this, because that also plays a big role not only in your guys' lives, but I mean it also shows that you're on this show. You're trying to progress in a more positive light, and that all that shines on what type of man that he is.
Yeah, it's super great because supplements are not cheap, and then eating healthy is not cheap. So, I can't really afford to do it on my own. And then there's even the gym memberships, the coaching,
Yeah,
the prep, like the all these stuff, the posing suits, the tanning,
Oh, the makeup.
the
Oh
makeup for
gosh.
my sister. For guys, we have to wear makeup too, but it's way cheaper than girls.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
I would assume. Even when I see some of the competitors, we had a guest on the show who's also a weightlifter herself, and I just remember the one thing she brought up was makeup, like how that plays a big role. Like, oh, because when the competition comes, they're all done up very beautifully, and sometimes the guys too. They're like, "Where's my eyeliner?" You know.
So we have to do that just because like our tan kind of like messes up with our face look. So there's makeup, there's hotels.
So there's the whole thing behind weightlifting besides just like or bodybuilding, just like this one thing. No, these are very important
Yeah,
Yeah.
avenues that you have to kind of go through
yeah,
just to make everything work. I didn't. Yeah, this is fascinating.
yeah. So there's just so much, and if I didn't have my dad, then I probably couldn't do it. It's that simple, you know. I mean, I give my dad a lot of shit sometimes, because well, I mean we're family. Of course, we're gonna give each other crap.
Yeah, we all bump
Yeah.
heads with our family
Yeah,
every so
but the
often.
fact is that he's been there for me since day one. In fact, he's the one who brought me into here, and he's always gonna say like, he wants me to go as far as I can. He believes that I can go pretty far in this industry, and he's been my biggest supporter.
Yeah. Same thing with here with my dad. Right now, my dad is kind of iffy on me doing bikini because of our genetics is really big bone, as you know, is my brother and my dad. So they think like I also have that genetic in me, and I'm thinking to move up to figure because of that. But yes, our dad's been like the biggest supporter. He keeps telling us to go do a show. He actually wanted me to do a show when I was 16. He's like, just get on it, and I was like super afraid because I didn't know how to reach out to people at that time. And then luckily I didn't compete when I was 16 because you to be competing, you have to be 18. Otherwise, you have to have a
No.
waiver with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I definitely see that. So shout out to Edison for being very supportive and be behind his kids. And you guys are following footsteps, I believe, that he's also jumped into, also in the digital arts and drawing and things like that, which I find fascinating because you guys are big fans of conventions or anime conventions and things like that. So you guys go there sometimes, and obviously cosplay. Talk about that. Real quick.
Okay, so if you don't know, like as big as I am, if you see me at school, I'm wearing like anime shirts. Like people would say like if it was anybody else, they would get bullied every single day. But because it's me, I can get away with it. So it's super funny. I'm actually the president of the anime club at my school. So I'm like a huge fan of
Oh
anime.
wow, there you go.
Club. I'm a huge fan of anime. Cosplaying was a huge part of it because like when you're at conventions, that's like the holy grail. That's when you can meet people who like the same stuff as you. And when you cosplay, you actually know like, okay, this guy or girl, they really love
Love
this
this
stuff.
character.
They
Yeah.
really love
brought
this.
it to life.
They brought it to life, and especially if it looks like super cool, then you'll get a lot of pictures, and it's very uplifting.
Yeah, I think. Well, Kimberly, also you as well.
Yeah, crafting is like super fun to do as well, and everyone's creativity, and then like actually socializing with others who can connect with you. Just like you never met them in your life, and you just bam,
Yeah.
you're
No,
connected.
when you go to conventions, like I have several friends that go to conventions, but they also have a good friend, Becky. She creates like her own costumes, and then for people too, she's helping me build a costume. Becky, you got to hurry up and finish that Agent Venom costume we're trying to finish off before the year, which is very busy. But that's one thing too. Like
Yeah.
the consumption of material, I mean, the design. You got to get the hair right. You got to get makeup. There's so much that goes into that, and I also see that being something that's like, oh, that's a headache too. But when you go there, I think it's really relieving, and you have a
Yeah.
lot of fun because it's just something that everyone's been gravitating towards for a long time. Be it anime, be it comic books, movies. You kind of encompass all of media right there. So one thing I will bring to the a question to you guys: have you guys ever thought about being either obviously cosplay, but acting?
Acting, I
Acting.
have actually. I've actually thought about acting.
He's a better actor than I am.
Yeah. um, I thought about acting because like I like would love to be on maybe a theater or even the big screen. Um, I actually never did any drama in high school, but I
Oh,
thought
well, we're going to talk about drama in a second. We're going to
yeah.
talk
Oh
about that.
boy.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but I thought about acting or voice acting or even just like story writing
Yes.
or like directing. All these stuff I thought about, but not necessarily like to the point where like, okay, I want to do this.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you my brother's catchphrase that I like hold near and dear. Thoughts become things.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that's one thing I always in the back of my head was like, hey, you know what? I've always been a photographer, videographer, but now I predominantly work in the world of, well, not necessarily drama, but for theater, the theater arts. So there's two companies I've worked for. One that I'm currently working for, and I've been working for a while, is the Walnut Creek Lesher Theater. And what I help is load in sets in and out. But I also work for the Bay Area Children's Theater. That's in San Francisco, Berkeley, and all over the Bay Area. One thing that's really fascinating about theater arts is that everyone that I meet there or I work with, the first thing is like, I never knew like this was so empowering when you get on stage. I went to LMC, which is in Pittsburgh, California, and their theater department there was really growing at the time. And all my friends were in the theater arts. I was just a camera guy. But when I jumped in there and I had myself on stage and started opening up and doing like voices, so I'll do a few for you guys right now. I will do Kermit the Frog from Sesame Street. How are you guys doing? Hello, my name's Kermit the Frog, and we're gonna have fun. Yay! So that was one of the things that we would do, like that. Or I'll do, okay, I'll do Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's great to be here. It's great here. I'm a bodybuilder. Everyone wants to be me. Go to the gym, work out. Yeah, So there's all that I kind of got a chance to kind of develop on there. But these are just talents I've had for a long time. But when you get on stage, it's a very fun experience. So if you ever get a chance, take a class. Just take Drama 101 and just see what it means to get on stage, because that's where everyone kind of develops their acting chops. I think a lot of people just think they should get in front of camera. You have to go through some process. Kimberly, I think you could also do it too as well.
Yeah, I actually had some drama experiences back in high school and middle school.
DVC or I'm sorry, in Concord?
Yeah, I
No.
went to Clay Valley as well. I also went to Pine Hollow Middle School. I was in Defying Gravity it was an after school program
Okay.
in middle school. I played the side characters because I didn't have enough acting experiences,
Mm-hmm.
but still it was a good experience for me to like get my feet wet and
Yeah.
everything.
And
And-
see, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and then in high school I got into drama because in my school there's this place called the Arts Academy. There's a school within the school,
Oh,
and then
okay.
and then there's like different categories, and then they put me in drama even though I wanted art. But I was like, what, I was kind of sad about that, but it was sort of experience. And I started thinking to myself like maybe I could actually start doing this, and I just didn't take it as seriously because I was still a bit disappointed. I was like, man, I want to be in art. But yes, I'm starting to think like I could try out acting and everything.
Yeah.
Some of my friends tell me like, Kim, you know what? In the DC World comics, if they made a like Black Bat character live action movie, you should be casted as it. And I was like, oh, thanks. Maybe
Well,
I'll try it out.
Well, I think that's really cool too, because one thing that it teaches you on stage, one thing is also presence. See, there's a way in on stage, and when you go to a play, go to a play, watch them, watch the actors, and the reasons why you're paying attention to this one person is their presence. So this translates to bodybuilding. A lot of those, I would believe, once you hit the stage and you got to gravitate to the people, you got to the crowd, because it is a spectacle, and you want to get everyone's attention and go, okay, here we go. One funny story in theater, right? One guy was telling another guy, I can out act you. Right? This guy had no talent. And the other guy's like, I have all the talent. I'm the one that everyone wants to see. How do you out act me? I'll prove it to you. So when they went on stage and they're watching the play, the whole time everyone's looking at the guy that has no talent. Everyone's paying attention to him. And they were like, and then the actor's like, why? How's this happening? Why is this happening? And then the show ends. He goes, how did you steal focus from me? Oh, it's simple. I just took a glass and I put the glass right here on the edge. So every time you were walking on one of the floorboards, it would tip over. So, and I'm standing near this glass. Everyone's attention is on the glass than me. So every time people assume that there's someone or they think they know what they're talking about, they don't. Acting and theater teaches you like those little things like that. But that was just like a little funny thing that someone says, if you on stage, it's like sometimes it's not always about you. But if you're on stage and you have that passion, it's going to show. So I think it's a really good way to develop that kind of presence in stage. When you walk into a room, And I think it's really cool to kind of talk about theater arts, drama, things like that. Because I have a background in it, but I think it's really interesting that you guys have already been a part about it in it. But acting would be so cool too, to get like a short independent film and things like that. And there's so many filmmakers out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are.
So you guys, so yeah, that's what you guys got to do. You got to jump in, look around, see,
Yeah.
Yeah.
see who's hiring. Because not too long ago we had Jeff on the show, Lenzaga, and he's also he does short independent films. Actually, some out here in Alameda as well. But you guys were predominantly Concord, so
Yeah, we can travel. I like traveling.
I like
There you go.
traveling. I love to get out of town like once a week at most.
yeah. And also for photography too. Have you guys done shoots?
Not
Just
me.
recently I did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And this will recently, as in like today, recently too.
No, it's like yesterday.
Oh, yesterday, yeah.
yesterday. Yesterday recent, yes.
Yeah. So when you do shoots, like what are you like your mindset on of like trying to like show the world like, okay, you are this like fitness shots, or these are just kind of like fun, just every day?
Recently, I did like a fun one, because not being able to like continue with my show kind of like messed with my mentality. So I was like, oh man, I don't want to do a fitness shoot when I'm not as fit looking currently because I'm in my off season. So I don't plan to do a fitness shoot until like I get back onto my prep and then try to do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Talking about bodybuilding, the one thing that there's a lot of stores that sell bodybuilding equipment and supplements, vitamins, and I have a friend who's he likes to buy a lot of the drinks there because they're very particular in what they can what he can drink. And so I'll go there and I'll walk around, I'll see all these different things. And I'm a big aloe vera fan. I love like the drinks. I love it as a healing thing. So I'm like, I love aloe vera, so I see a lot of the different things. But when you go, there's very very scary because you walk down these aisles, you see all these supplements and things like that, and you're natural and you don't really jump on a lot of that. But a lot of people do, they jump into that world. Or when you go there, what are some of the do's and don'ts, if you, from your young experience but also in this world, if you go to the supplement stores, right? Like, what are you looking for particularly?
Well, I'm just looking for whatever is going to be the best. For example, a lot of people like to take mass gainers when they go to stores. I see no use of that because you can look at the back. What I look for is the nutritional facts and the
Yes.
ingredients. If you look at the back of a mass gainer, it's stoked with like a bunch of sugar. You want carbs, but you don't want sugar because sugar actually might cause fat gain. I mean, carbs don't cause fat gain, but sugar, those kind of starches cause fat gain. So I look for that, and I also look for the serving sizes. Because sometimes, like at the front, they'll say like, "Oh, it's got this much protein," but it'll be for like 3 scoops. I'm like, "Well, that's not worth it. I'm gonna run out of it super quickly
Yeah.
because it's super expensive." And last but not least, I have to do my research beforehand. The FDA generally there's pretty much no steroids in supplements. There was a couple of like times when there were, but they usually get caught.
Okay.
So for me, I research what supplements I need. As a teenager, there's not necessarily a bunch that I do need, like testosterone boosters and stuff like that, because my testosterone's already as high as it is. So I'm just looking for whey protein, BCAAs, stuff like that.
Well, with whey and things like that, when you get one of the bottles and you turn around, the first thing that you'll see is like 100%, 200%. Like you'll see a whole long list of vitamins and things like that too, as well. So like, is that good for like a lot of that, or is that just like when you go like, I want the best, I want the thing, and then you ask a customer like, what's the one I want, and then they go, well, you want this because this has all this, and you're like, but is it for specifically each different person's body as well?
For me, it's like you have to play around with all the supplements. It sounds weird, but you have to find what supplement's the best for you. For me, I don't look for vitamins. I just look for protein shakes. I literally just look for protein because I get vitamins from my multivitamins and I get vitamins from eating vegetables and fruits. Eating healthy for once.
Yeah, and all of them that I see, correct me if I'm wrong, you'll see like cinnamon swirl, cookies and cream. They get really creative with some
Yeah.
of those.
Yeah.
And that's like, oh, people aren't going to eat them if it's not like something like a cherry pie or something like that.
Yeah.
But they do that, all the powders and stuff like that too. When you guys both, like, I don't know if you guys go there or things like that, or that something that also is kind of like something endearing or kind of like monotonous because I'm very naive to this.
Yeah.
But I think it's really, I'm learning. I want to learn, but not only learn from you guys, but your young experience. I mean, you guys are very young. You gained a lot of experience already. You guys have been doing this for several years. So if you're young and there's someone else watching the show and they're young too, I want to make sure that they go, okay, I always felt pressure to do this, or I felt, kind of peer pressure because I want to get the best. And then they just grab the biggest thing, and that can probably harm them or maybe can help them. I don't know.
Okay, so for the flavors, literally, I stay away from all the fancy like cherry pie or cinnamon swirl flavors because I'm gonna say this straight up, they all taste horrible. The only good one I've come across is vanilla and chocolate. Yeah, and that's not just because I'm a vanilla and chocolate fan. Like I love fruits, I love all these, I love cinnamon rolls, but they don't taste anything like it. They just taste horrible. So I stay away from that. And then I also like for me, I'm lucky enough to have enough like friends who have lots of knowledge in the supplement industry, and of course I have to do a lot of research on what supplements I should take, and it gets very intimidating because there's so much options. Just for whey protein, there's like so many companies saying that they got the best whey protein, so you don't know which one to
Yeah.
pick, and then you don't know what's inside of it sometimes. So you gotta look. You gotta look in the
So it's something you
ingredients.
have to do a lot of research.
You gotta
and
do a lot of
actually-
research.
And I think particular to your body, which you're looking for to get out of it. So you have to so a lot of research. That's good though. Just to say to someone, hey, before you go there, don't go on your gut reaction.
Yeah.
Go there, get some information, and look it up beforehand.
You can
Yeah.
also ask the employees too. They're usually like well informed of what's the
Okay.
best one to do too.
Well, not necessarily, not in my experience. Certain employees are more knowledgeable than others. I would just ultimately trust what you've learned
Yeah,
off of reading several articles. And as a natural bodybuilder myself, I have to do a lot of research because when you're not taking any performance enhancing drugs, you have to be reading a lot of sports science articles to maximize your own performance because you want to learn how to maximize your own performance without taking any drugs.
Okay. Now, do you guys have coaches or people that help you overlook, your workouts and stuff like that?
I had a prep coach, but in my off season, I'm not necessarily like following it. In my off season, I can bulk up on my own. I know exactly the ins and out of gaining muscle as a teenager, and I know the ins and outs of gaining muscle as an adult in the future. But for prep, I never really knew much about repetition, or I mean not repetition, prepping for a
Prep,
competition. I never knew much about how to do that. I knew how to cut. I knew how to cut like fat, but I never knew how to actually reach these unhealthily low body fats for when you step on stage.
Kimberly?
Yeah. Me and Kenny have the same coach for prep. His name is Nico Abaya, and he's like a really good coach. Love him so much. And then for off season right now, since I'm doing power building, because I was leaning down, I didn't really like my physique as much, and I felt as though I need to. There's so much more I need to work on before stepping on stage. So currently, I'm doing power building, and my current coach, or like my best friend, Cece, as we mentioned before, is helping me out with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Usually when you get a coach, the first thing, and I think of any sport or anything that's physical, right? The coach is going to help you dictate, what to do and help you with that. Bumping heads, I think, is a good thing if that ever occurs,
Yeah.
because they're going to look for your best interests and stuff like that. Obviously, sometimes that doesn't work out, but I think it's really cool that you have around coaches or someone that's looking above you to say, okay, these are some things to look out to. With that said, who are some of the people that you looked up to in the world of bodybuilding?
In the world of bodybuilding. Well, for me, I've always just like looked in the social media, I guess, and all the magazines I've seen of all these huge dudes. I always looked up to them, I guess. For coaching, I never really had a coach in particular that I really wanted to have. Maybe Charles Glass, if you know him, he's like they call him the Godfather of bodybuilding. I look to him like for finding great new takes at conventional lifts to target certain muscle groups. But other than that, you could honestly get a lot of the knowledge on your own, because for one thing, it's your body. You know how it reacts to certain things. So you can get a lot of the knowledge on your own. And two, if you're looking at all these like amazing athletes who look great, you don't know how long they've been training, so they might have a lot more experience than you. And two, you don't know if they are taking any performance enhancing drugs or not. So if you want to look like a certain bodybuilder and that bodybuilder may be taking performance enhancing drugs, well, the truth is you're never going to look like that because there's a human limit. I mean, I believe the human limit's a lot higher than what people think that the human limit is, but at the same time, I believe that there is a human limit or a genetic limit of how big and amazing we can look.
Yeah. Kimberly?
For in terms of training wise, I
Yeah.
want to have coached by one day.
No, but who like the inspirations like that you looked up to in the world of bodybuilding?
Oh, and up to the world of bodybuilding. Oh man, there's like a lot of names I can name of. But from the top of my head, one of the strongest like bodybuilders I've seen on Instagram is Sophie Arvidbrink. Yeah, I was like super overwhelmed by her strength and everything because she can do pull-ups with like 345s wrapped around her, and I was like, oh man, I wish I could do that one day. And then there's this other girl named Cass Martin, and she's able to like bench so much, and I was like, oh my god, but they still look like visit physically appealing, visually appealing to like most women. Like, oh, they have the tiny waist, they have like the hourglass, and yet they're super strong.
It doesn't, and you're just like, oh my god. We had a guest on our show. We had Leslie Smith, the UFC fighter, and she came in and she just very petite, very nice. But when she took her jacket off, I'm like, oh god! And she showed us like her wrist, like her wrist, like, oh yeah, this is where I like had an incident. But I was like, oh my god, she just shredded. It makes a big difference. But she came in so nice, polite. And she told a story where someone was harassing one of her friends, and she beat the crap out of him, and he had no idea. And he got beat up by a UFC fighter. So I think that's incredible that the ladies are like, you know what, we still want our figure, but we're going to tone it and actually. And I think that's a lot of control too, to have a lot of body control. Speaking of control, I want to talk about real quick when you guys are out and about. And you're thinking you're in the world of bodybuilding or weightlifting, and your physique's always on your mind. If you're somewhere and you're hungry, what are some of the do's and don'ts? Because if you're somewhere and you're like, I'm so hungry, like I have to eat whatever, something for your health. Because I have a very healthy, eccentric friend who's always like worrying about his health or what he eats. And I'm like, man, you just have to burn this little burger off. It's okay. He's like, no, I got to find something particular to eat. What is some of the stories you guys have to go through?
Okay, well, first and foremost, there's a lot of fake healthy foods out there. If you go to McDonald's, their chicken salad has the same amount of calories as their Big Mac.
That's good to know.
So you can go ahead and eat your burgers because if you I'm pretty sure you're gonna like the burgers more than the chicken salad, unless you're one of those rare people who like salads more than burgers. So there's fake healthy foods. Okay,
Okay.
you don't. They look like they're healthy, but they're not healthy. You have to look at the nutritional facts in the back. So for me, it's like if I can't find anything healthy, I say screw it. Today's just gonna be a small refeed, and because refeeds every once in a while can be good. You know, it's not like as long as you don't make it a habit of like eating McDonald's every day, then you'll still be fit. One burger never killed anybody.
Okay. I brought that up because I definitely want to get your guys' opinion on it. Kimberly, same thing?
Well, also because like what Kenny's saying, like it's not gonna kill you or like make a major change in your bodies. Also, people have this miscommunication, like, oh, once you're a bodybuilder, it's always on your mind, but you have to remember, like, we're also human. We have to eat. There are times like we love to party and make some consideration to that. And we can always burn it off. Like you have to live your life. I don't want to be like old and be like. I was 7. I'm like, oh, I'm looking back at my time. All I ate was this and didn't have fun. What am I going to tell my grandkids? Like, all I did was count my macros and stay in the gym. Yeah, that's something you do not want to tell.
Keep it down, kids. I'm counting my calories.
Yeah,
exactly.
But the one with that is the fear of when I'm out and about or someone's thinking about eating, like, oh man, do I want this? And I think if you overthink it, it becomes a problem. Or at least I would assume.
Yeah, if you overthink it, it becomes a problem. Especially because like I don't know about if your friend is prepping for a competition. If he's just doing it for fitness, then it's not going to kill anybody. If you're doing it for a competition, then maybe you gotta watch it out a little more. When I'm prepping for a competition, there are actually very healthy foods that you can get outside. Like one of these things was you go to Popeyes and get the blackened chicken tenders. Those are literally about the same things that I eat at home. The blackened chicken tenders have the same macronutrients and the same calories as the chicken that I eat at home. So I'm like, I can eat those when I'm outside with friends. So I'm like, let's go to Popeyes.
Okay.
So there are actually healthy options outside there, but the things that they're not going to be as good. Obviously, like if I go to Popeyes, I normally want to get like some of their fried chicken, some biscuits, and some fries. But
and I think that's incredible when you have this knowledge of that, because I think people do get in their heads and it stops them from thinking about what I can and what I can't. But I think what it comes down to is just being honest with yourself and saying, you know what, I'm going to do this, but tomorrow I'm going to make sure I work out, do my little training regimen and something so you can kind of have a kind of a routine or regimen to do that.
Yeah.
Keep it in mind with that. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to jump into our shouts and plugs of the show because we're going to be wrapping up. Kimberly, would you start off with your shouts and plugs for not only yourself but your family, like who you're looking for, and also your where people can follow you?
Oh, some shouts I have. Okay, for sure, it's my dad. You can go follow him on Edison Rizon in Instagram. Also, you can add him on Facebook. Chances are he won't accept it, but I'm just throwing it out there. And then,
Who is this?
yeah. And then also another major supporter I would love to give a shout out to is Cece. You can reach her out at Miss Cece French. And then there's also Nico. That's my coach. He does flexible dieting. So for all the women who wants to do like bikini or any sort of competition prep, I would recommend him. He has so much experience. You can get him at it's so weird to pronounce this Instagram. It's at NI underscore CO underscore LO underscore Nico Abaya.
For me, I would like to shout out my sister. She forgot to shout out herself. At
Sorry.
Petite Amazonian on Instagram. You can find her on Facebook, but we're hardly ever on Facebook. At least I'm not. She's probably a little bit more active than me. I have no idea what her Snapchat is, but you can follow my Snapchat at KRIZ0N. And my Instagram at otaku.gains, when that's gains with a Z at the end. It's pretty short. I do change my Instagram name often, so it might change by the time that you see this, but for now it's at Otaku Gains, and I'm probably going to keep that because I kind of like it. It does talk, it does cover who I am, and pretty much that's it. There's my dad. My sister already covered that, so that would be everything.
Oh, okay, cool. First of all, I'd like to thank both of you guys for joining me on the show, on the Slam Show. Kennedy and Kimberly. Kennedy and Kimberly. It's very similar names.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or should I say Gohan? Let's call you Gohan on the Slam Show. First of all, I'd like to thank our in-house DJ, Slam and Sam in the back. You can follow him at I Am Slammin' on Instagram. I am your host, Rock Rage. You can follow me at Rock Rage Pro on Instagram as well. I'd like to thank the Churchwood Pub for helping us here at the Slam Show and everything. That's just a wrap up right there, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to say thank you for our guests and have a good night.